the year's 2012. The big year of 2012. Some of us are scared of it. Some of us think it's no big deal. Some think it's the end of the world. And others think that it's a new beginning. So many opinions about what 2012 is. I'm not going to lie, I had my own opinions about it. And it's one of those things where it took a soul search to try to find out what 2012 really means. You know, I'm not going to lie. I've been through many searches. You can call me a seeker. I'm trying to seek truth. I'm trying to seek my own personal truth. And I went through it all. When I was younger, I was a fundamentalist Christian. As I got older, I walked away from my faith and started researching science. And I threw away faith and religion for science. And then I threw away science for faith again, but a different kind of faith, and I went back and forth for a while, not really knowing which one, who I was, what I'm supposed to be. I know we're all raised different. Each one of us has a different upbringing, a different past. And I don't need to go into the specifics of my past, but I did soul search. I did start out on a quest for why things were the way they were. And it took me on a ride. It took me on a roller coaster ride. And I was lost. I didn't know what I was doing. But there comes a point in a person's life where they actually get themselves some principles and they start standing up for those principles. And every man, woman that goes through a search finds their own principles. Some people do it differently. Some people stay in a faith. Some people stay in a religion. And that gives them comfort. It gives them the comfort to know that, whatever they think about God or the meaning of life or existence, it gets them through their day. And for some people, that's enough. But for other people, it's not. I was one of those people. I've had my arguments. I've had my arguments with people of science, had my arguments with people of faith, people of religion, and none of that seemed to be productive to me. So I was always left thinking, I don't know what the hell I believe in. I don't know who I am, what I'm supposed to do. But there's one thing that I did do, and that's pray. And I didn't realize the power of thought. I didn't realize the power of my expressions. And as the years went by and I got older, I started to understand. I started to understand that what I think, how I feel, on every single micro level within my being, was creating my experience. And it wasn't a hard transition for me because it made so much sense. And I've been through so much soul searching that it made so much sense. In the beginning I was real competitive. I was trying to find, the new path, the new way. I looked up to people like Jesus and other, masters, in recorded history that have done major things for the world. There was always that deep sense within me that I wanted to do something for the world too. So I didn't go to college. I got expelled from high school. I did bad things. I hung out with the wrong people, hung out with the wrong crowds. But there was always something deep down inside that made me different. It made me crazy. It made me out of place. And I knew it. And there was awkward times, but there was also a beautiful side to that awkwardness because it was so different. I was so different. And that became my personality. The whole package of me seems to be a lost individual. And I didn't understand that my inner desires was actually guiding me to who I wanted to become and who I am now. And now I stand more principled than ever. And I still have my daily struggles because I am a human being on this world. And it makes me question, to not make the excuse that we're all humans and that we err and find error in each other, or that the world's not perfect. I always wanted to believe that the world could be perfect. There was always that inner desire within me that was passionate about the truth be told, about God, about what that search of God meant to me. And all the people that I encountered along the way, some have no respect for other people's spirituality, and people who don't believe in a God, or who are atheists and don't have a belief structure to a higher supreme value. Was difficult to talk to them as well because, in a sense, they were very two-dimensional. And so that inner passion within myself led me to believe that I knew that I had to include everybody within my own spirituality. I knew that I had to be all-inclusive. I knew that I had to learn how to absorb others' beliefs, others' energies, others' psyches, consciousness of what they believed life was about. So I opened my mind, and I had those principles set because those are the principles that I finally came to through my search. And without knowing that those inner thoughts, those inner desires, were actually guiding me into the person I am today. And I know that I'm not done growing. I'm not done becoming who I'm supposed to become. And so as I became more principled, and as I learned more knowledge was given to me. And I used to think to myself when I was younger, like, man, I am a crazy son of a bitch. I am one insane person. But if it was like a mathematical equation that was complex when I was younger, then I was only accumulating data as I got older. I was only accumulating information as I got older. And we all do it. We all gather information from our daily experiences to create wisdom. That's what makes adults adults. And I used to ponder over what most people think is weird. I used to think, look at human beings. Just look at the human being itself. This creature with the two arms and the legs and the head and the hair. And this is what we look like. This is what we exist like. And I had a hard time trying to fathom why did creation create this type of being that I was in and that I'm observing. I would think of things like this. I would question my existence. Why is there a male? Why is there a female? And little children. We have to raise them. And that, and as I got older and the principles that I am now, I understood that we fit the archetype of male and female. We are the mother and the father. We are the child. We are the living being. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter who you are, what shape, form that you come in. But if you have a consciousness, and if you have a soul, then you can choose love. So simplistic to choose something like love. And this is coming from someone who honestly came from a very dark past. And it takes strength for me to say that I do have a lot of hatred within me. And it takes that much more data or information or light or love to penetrate into my heart to make me feel like I'm somebody of love. And so I created a lot of things. I created a governmental system because I wanted to create world peace. I asked myself, how could we create world peace? Without getting too, apocalyptical about it. Let's just be smart about it. Let's look at the situation and let's just create a situation that would make things better. And so I wrote the government plenty of times, and I wouldn't get a response, of course, but I felt like I could make a difference. I felt like I was smart enough to. And, not knowing who the master controllers were behind the scenes at the time, being very young, I was approaching these institutions like education. And I just didn't believe in them. There's something about the way schooling was taught that I did not adhere to it. I didn't want to accept that this is what was laid out before me and this is what I'm supposed to do. And arrogantly, I thought I was smart enough to bypass college, to bypass my education. Something seemed off about it. Now, mind you, little did I know, once again, being a young soul searcher, that my thoughts and those emotions of me thinking, I don't like school, something's wrong about it, just having that emotion was pushing me into another direction. I didn't realize that every single thought, every single emotion and desire within me was actually creating my reality. I didn't understand that yet. I was a young kid. And as I got older, and this is a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, as I'm accumulating all this information on who I am, at the same time, an inner guidance of wanting to reach into something higher about life and not accepting what was being put in front of me as truth because I couldn't, not realizing that those emotions were pushing me into more truth. And I learned about these families called the Illuminati. These Illuminati families. And we're talking about conspiracy theory. We're talking about 9/11. We're talking about the assassination of JFK and the pyramids on the dollar. We're talking about all that stuff. All the conspiracy stuff. 9/11 was an inside job. We're talking about the Illuminati here. And when the first time that I heard about the Illuminati, I was disgusted. I was disgusted. I couldn't believe how manipulated I was and how right in front of my face it was. So everywhere that I went, I started seeing these symbols. I started seeing symbols everywhere. Symbol on the back of the dollar. Regions Bank is a pyramid. Citgo Gas, pyramid. I mean, I was like, I was unveiling this world of symbology that these people were talking to each other about, and it made me research more about them. And you have to remember, when I talked about soul searching, that you're soul searching if you are searching, if you're not just accepting. then you are searching for something. And just that emotion alone is going to bring you to truth, or it's going to bring you to a truth that you accept. And that's what I was doing. And I didn't realize it. So as this information is coming to me, and it's hitting my emotional center, and it's just telling me, you have been lied to. You have been manipulated. And this is the truth. And you research more, and you realize that the military-industrial complex is how secretive, and the operations that go into the chaos of creating chaos, the science behind creating chaos. And I couldn't fathom why these people would do this. But just the way they thought, the evil genius of thinking the way the Illuminati thought. And because I was so caught up in the emotions of these negatives of the Illuminati, of course, at the time, I couldn't see that there could be anyone positive in these families. You know? Now that I'm a grown man, I could see that maybe people in the Illuminati actually, just like a big family, there's good and there's bad inside the family. And they probably don't want to rat and eat each other out because it's what's been handed down to them from previous generations of control. And for those who really take it seriously, and later on I found out they're called Luciferian Illuminati, those who focus on the negative aspect of consciousness, which means that you have to invest your whole being into separating. You have to invest every ounce of your energy into creating a divided world. And those are the ones that end up taking control. I'm sure the good people in the family were like, there's nothing we can do, there's nothing we can say, because this is the way the family does it. So they're just as guilty. They may not be as evil, but they're just as guilty. And I was so heartbroken by this knowledge that I couldn't stop researching. I couldn't stop trying to find more truth. And I started to become wise of their ways. I started becoming wise of their ways of quarantining civilization into a mindless, riddled with dumbness and disease and weakness, to make the human population subservient and weak and docile, and to put poisons in the food because it makes them sick, and they will unknowingly go to the pharmaceutical industries to make them even more sick, more cloudy in the brain. The evil genius of keeping these concentration camp societies, the evil genius of harming human civilization for your own benefit, to feel powerful or to feel in control. I couldn't understand why, but I could understand why. And to me, I thought it was an absurd notion to try to do this, to invest so much energy into doing it. And I had to put myself in their shoes. I had to feel what kind of power it would feel like to be like this. And I understand everywhere you look now, that's what it is. For those who are still asleep, you live for money. You worship money. You worship the status it's going to bring you, the security that it gives you. It makes you look at the divisiveness of class as you obtain more of this money. And meanwhile, while you act like the Illuminati on a very small scale, even though you're acting like them, you don't realize that you're actually perpetuating their world and their creation. And when I started to understand that, then that young rejection of institutions when I was younger and not knowing about the Illuminati only strengthened. So these words you hear are the coming together of that strength. It's the rejection of the Illuminati from my consciousness. I reject the values that money brings of greed and power and lust. I reject the pharmaceutical industries and their poison pills. And even though I eat a lot of fast food and I eat a lot of crappy food because I really don't have a choice and organic food's so damn expensive, I reject the poisons in the foods. And I try to do my best. And there was times where I felt hopeless because everywhere I looked and everywhere I turned, it's in your face. People are handing over money. You got some guy driving by in a very nice car, thinking he's the man, looking down on me. And I just, once, I started learning about it, being a young person, I would get angry at these things. Like, screw you, dude, you're not better than me. Or, why does this girl like the guy with the money, What has he got that I don't got? It makes you look at yourself like you're not worth it, or how come my values aren't strong enough, And I went through so many battles that I've actually strengthened and refined myself to understand that they're actually posting up and propping up this illusion of separation. And so I rejected it even more. And it actually made me stronger. And it actually made my values even stronger. And it made my principles so strong, full of light of my own truth, that I'm standing here talking to you today about it. That I am strong enough to talk to you about it today. And so my whole life's goal is to not only expose these dark individuals, but to assist the world in not only rejecting and purging from within you all the crap and curtains and veils that they put in front of you to hide you in illusion, to keep you in a prison where you give emotions based off the world they created. When I was getting angry at the guy in the nice car, I was helping them stay empowered. I didn't realize it. When the girl dumped me because I didn't have enough money, then I allowed that to get to me. I allowed myself to feel worthless, not knowing that she was caught up into a paradigm that they were creating. And granted, I'm a man now. I'm a man. If this world were to collapse right now, and we all had to live out in the damn woods, that Wall Street man's going to be in a lot of shit. And everyone's going to be turning to me and people like me who can build houses and hunt for food. And if we had to go back to a hunter and gatherer society, let me tell you something, I'm more than a man. And it's those paradoxes that I really started to struggle with until I found that I didn't have to struggle with them. I didn't have to try to make a reasoning to exist when I hated the world that I lived in so much. And there's that word again, hate. I rejected what I was learning about these people, and I was looking at the world around me and seeing that everyone is plugged into this matrix, this virtual game of distraction, and it's in everything. Look at relationships. You can't be in a relationship without thinking the grass is greener on the other side, because you find flaw in the world, because you don't have a perfect view, and you don't have a higher purpose to call in a perfect view. And a lot of it's because the truth isn't being told to you. You're being held in lies and bondage, and it keeps you there. And you hear stories about it all through history. My dad was a drunk. This person beat me. This person left me. My parents are great. They had plenty of money, but they never were around. They were always working. I mean, there's so many stories that you will find some sort of influence that these Illuminati have had on our timeline. And then you understand that they've been in control for a long, long time. And the information just keeps pouring in. They've been in control of the Roman Empire, Babylon, all the way back. Some say even Atlantis. Some say they talk in cahoots with dark alien beings and all these other conspiracies. And then I researched technologies that are being suppressed by the dark military-industrial complex created by these billionaire families. I started to understand how they create paper money for us to believe in, for us to worship, to hold it higher than ourselves so that we may feel secure, so that we may be in a frenzy fighting each other to grab that dollar, to grab that money. And then, as I questioned just the simple fact of why they would want to keep power, why they would want to kill us, why would they want us dead? Because there's too many of us. And then you start uncovering information about depopulation programs and chemtrails and all this other crazy stuff. You know, trying to create earthquakes and economic collapses, and I started to understand why they kept all these technologies for themselves. Can you imagine the power of sitting there and looking at all these monkey humans driving around in their cars on little rubber tires when you have technologies that are patented by the U.S. government where you don't even need cars anymore, to where you don't have to drive up to a little station and pump gas, a liquid into a machine to make it run? You know, how primitive is that? And I rejected it more and more and more into the point where I'm at now. And I was like, to what end is all of this? How can you keep doing this? Why would you keep doing this? And why would you want to reduce the population? There's 7 billion people on this planet. How could you reduce this population? So one thing leads to the next, and we come across 2012. 2012. And I started researching 2012 a little bit. And here are the facts. And then I'm going to tell you about the truth that I learned and the truth that I understood. And I want you to ask yourself after you hear these words if they ring true to you. And tell me that we are not one. And understand what's really going on here, people. You have all these technologies that could free this world. No gasoline bills, no car transportation. We're talking about futuristic Jetson type of stuff here that we could be living in. We're talking about futuristic, in tune with the planet, in tune with the universe, in tune with our destinies, in tune with our faith. Futuristic in the now that we could actually have. But these people keep it for themselves. And there's 7 billion people on the planet, and they invest in nothing but separation and chaos. At the same time, they want, with the intention to kill, to murder people. Murder leaders like me, people who stand up and talk about them. Murder just people in general. Cancer, disease. We have technologies that could cure this. You have to research it, people. You have to look it up. Otherwise, it's hearsay. But it's there. Take those rose-colored glasses off and just stare the truth in the face and let it absorb into you. And don't feel helpless and hopeless, because that's what they want. They want that separation. They want that anxiety. They want that chaos. And I asked myself, why? And all of a sudden, I started researching this 2012 stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, so end of the world, right? End of the world. And here's the facts. Solar Maximus does happen on December 2012. The sun has more solar activity on December than any other time in, this cycle. Okay, that's fact number one. Fact number two, the sun is going to align with the galactic center of the galaxy. That's another fact, that the sun does ebb and flow in a cycle as it spirals around the central sun of the galaxy, and it intersects with the center exactly on December 21st, 2012. So it's a perfect alignment, and it's a real alignment. And there were some other astrological things that were going on around the time that's going to happen here in 2012, and I started to research exactly what this is about, because it seems like if there was an alignment on this level and it meant the end of the world, we're talking about earthquakes and all this stuff, it becomes like revelations, tribulations, which is another illusion to feed your fear. And as I started reading more about it, I started to realize that not everyone thought that 2012 was a bad thing. It wasn't always bad. And in fact, the philosophy is that this alignment creates a oneness with the flow of energy. We're talking about the universe here, people. We're talking about universal energy. And you have to take yourself out of your houses and your cars and look at the clothes you wear and the money. Take yourself away from all of that and strip down back to the natural nature of what's going on. Right now it's nighttime and I'm looking up at the stars, and I understand that I'm a human being, a creature who's alive, breathing air in and out with my heart beating, producing body heat, standing on a planet that's floating around in space as I'm looking at these stars. And right now I'm looking at Orion's belt. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what it is. This is what we are. Down to the elements, down to the atomic structure. And if this alignment has any truth to it, then it's not about the end of the world. It's about creating your own reality. It's about understanding that it's not the end of the world, it's just the end of the age. You're just turning a page. But there was a sense of urgency, because as the love that I was trying to cultivate into my heart grew, I understood that if I was to be honest with myself and really feel not only Earth, but everyone on it, would I feel like I was at peace? Would I feel like I was in chaos? Would I have hurt? Would I have compassion? Would I have an understanding of people dying across the planet? Does it hurt me to know that the rainforest is being destroyed? Does it hurt me to know that the seas and oceans are being overfished? Or that the Great Barrier Reef is dying? Does it hurt me to know these things? Does it hurt me to know, as I'm reaching in and across the planet, that these things are actually happening? And then it started to dawn on me that if we create our own reality with our thoughts and with our emotions, and the whole world is in chaos, then it is the end of the world. And then I understood why the Illuminati invest so much into chaos. Because they know if they can separate you and divide you at these grand cycles of energetic balances and alignments, that you won't become one with the universe and you won't ascend into a higher being. That if you're separated, you will actually cause your own destruction. And if they prepare for survival, then they're going to come out on the other side clean, survived, alive, with everyone else dead. and they're going to scramble with their technologies, and they're going to come out of their underground bases in the mountains and come down in their little ships or whatever they want to do to escape this end times turmoil and come back and rule the world in their new world order and their new world that they see with reduced populations where they're in control because they successfully separated the human consciousness into a ravenous, desperate victim who looks and worships materialistic things, lifeless materials, lifeless emotions, because they have successfully distracted you in quick sex, failed relationships, silly television programs, because they have successfully teared you away from any kind of divine thought and to make it seem wrong to even try to question it, to kill anyone that speaks about something as simple as unconditional love so that they can keep you in the dark. And I understood, finally, my own truth, that they are trying to create chaos, as much chaos as humanly possible, because chaos is not harmony. And if we're talking about the universe here, and you know that this planet is in harmony without us screwing it up, and you know that everything works naturally with its own self the way it was designed to, universally. It all works like a interlinked chain. That's harmony. Like a beautiful snowflake, a geometrical design that comes together in perfection is harmony. So you're talking about alignments on a universal scale. You're talking about the sun aligning with its host galaxy in perfect alignment, wobbling out there in space, and that doesn't have an effect on us? That our energies can't align with it? That our energies have to be ravenous and chaotic? And then you're supposed to look at yourself and say, wait a minute, so if I can create my own reality, which is very simplistic because you do. You want to win the trophy, you're going to work your ass off, and you're going to get the trophy. You want to paint the house, paint it, gets done. You set your thoughts to it, you set your mind to it, it gets done. But on the universal scale, that's so taboo to talk about, which we can't talk about because it's so taboo, and people don't want to hear it because they love their materialistic little world they live in, which is propped up from the Illuminati dangling you on strings to distract you. When you cut the strings, put your feet on the ground, look at what's natural. Bring yourself back into a harmony. You have to generate love for everybody. And I realized that my thoughts were doing it, not only from my own experience, but now I'm at a point to where I have to overflow with information and light to everyone else to fulfill my destiny. And I understood that this alignment shouldn't even have to come down to an alignment. It should just be who you are as a person. To wake up from this chaotic timeline that they're trying to create for us. Think about it. If there's a small handful of people controlling the entire timeline of planet Earth, using what they've created around you to distract you, it's their world, it's not yours. That's why they did what they do. That's why they do what they do. And so many people are blind to it. I want you to imagine for a second. Imagine you're super rich, you're talented, you made it, you got a couple billion dollars, whoop-de-doo. And you're approached by these Illuminati family members, and they're like, look, here's the deal. 2012's coming. All these symbols at the Vatican Church and these little 8-spoked wheel symbols and, Walmart changing their symbol and all this kind of stuff. These symbols, What it means is that 2012 there will be an alignment, and our scientists have proven that there's going to be some major catastrophes. We're talking earthquakes, we're talking tsunamis, we're talking tornadoes, we're talking fires, we're talking about so much disruption that it stops oil production, and cars are going to be halted to a stop, and there's not going to be any food transportation. It's going to be chaos on the streets. We're going to declare martial law. It's going to be all one big grab bag. But you made it because you have billions of dollars. You made it. You're one of us. You're the fittest. You made it to the top. You're the cream of the crop. You're one of us. Save yourself. We got all these underground bases. We got all these gutted out silos that we turned into condos. And we want you to be a part of the survival of the human race. Now, being ignorant and unaware, you're going to say to yourself, holy shit, I better buy myself a ticket. But I want you to be aware of who you're making deals with when you buy that ticket. You forfeited your divine right to create a new world because you succeeded, quote unquote, by obtaining materialistic things. They cultivated you and lied to you and sold to you that you are not in control of reality. And by them not telling you the truth, it makes it look like they're coming from a scientific standpoint, from a governmental scientific mode of efficiency here. Because they know about these damn alignments. And it makes me question, really, how many alignments have they gone through? There have been mass extinctions on this planet. So it puts doubt in my mind on how many times they've done this, because if they know about it, that means they've done it. I wonder how many times they have done this, because they're pretty damn smart about it. But there's something about this time that's different. See, this time they're going to lose this little game they play of trying to create chaos on the planet. And I have my thoughts on it. But for this conversation, we're just going to talk about 2012. This little game of chaos and harmony, the light workers, the ones who have genuine love in their hearts, being the harmony, and the lost dark souls, called the Illuminati, and everyone else who's lost and dark, who's manipulated, they're not going to win this time. Because people are waking up. And we're going to realize in time that we can change the timeline of this planet. We are waking up that we can rewrite this ending to the book. In fact, we're starting to understand that we can continue on the book of life. That the book is never going to end. That we're not going to believe in an end. That we're not going to believe that chaos is going to run rampant. We're not going to believe in the paper money system, or that I have to put gas in my car when there's free energy technologies available, or that diseases can be cured from technologies that are being suppressed. I'm not going to believe in the world that they're trying to construct because I can't anymore. Don't you see? I've learned the truth, and now I'm trying to share the truth with you so that you can join in thought and help me and help everyone create a world of harmony and peace. It is that simple. You just have to think it. You have to understand it. You can't run away from it, and you can't feel helpless. These alignments are real, and they're real to me, but they're really not all that important. Because these morals and these principles you should be living by anyways. And most of you don't. And I'm not going to say I'm perfect because I'm still struggling with it. But my struggle is what you're hearing on this recorder right now. You're hearing my struggle, and you're hearing a real human being struggling with his life and destiny to understand what the hell is going on with my existence. And this is what I've come to, folks. This is the light that I've mustered up within myself. I'm a poor man. I don't have much. But you can change the world with just a spark of a thought, just the light of an idea. The world's not going to end. We are going to change this world. We will band together. The Illuminati and the dark minions who join them will be found out. Because the love for humanity and the respect for humanity is going to reach into the hearts of people who understand it. We are not going to divide in any way, shape, or form. We are not going to listen to ways of division. We're going to respect each other. We're going to find how we're similar and how we can love each other better. How we can love the planet better. We're going to pull ourselves out of the lights and distractions of what they've created into a higher place within your heart of light, to shine into those dark places that exist in the world, and we have to shine that light together so that we can rid the darkness and the dark places and shine light into those dark places so that it can be lighted, so that the dark may find a way. And that's what happens when you focus on the positive end of things, not the negative. And that's where we're at right now. We're talking about the universe here. Protons and electrons and neutrons, positive and neutral and negative charges. You have the ability to take your brain and your eye and you can focus it on which end of the spectrum you want to. Keep focusing on negative and you're going to keep getting it. If you keep investing in crap, you're going to keep getting crap. I don't care what class you exist in or what status you think you have. If you have negativity running through your soul, you are going to reap the full reward of that negativity because it's what you're investing in. It's the seeds that you are sowing. And it is a struggle, my friends, because I struggle with it every day, but I hope you can see the light that I've mustered within myself to try to focus on the positivity of things, the light, the harmony, the coming together, the universal, unconditional love of things, the divine relationships that exist within us and what exists on this planet. And to always understand that if something is causing us to feel queasy about something or to feel not sure about something, that there is a higher purpose and a higher value to create. In other words, we can ascend above what is making us feel negative. If something is making you feel negative, you can ascend above it. And that's what I'm asking for today from you. Look at yourself and look at your daily life. It could be relationships, it can be the way you are, it can be the money, it can be this, it can be that, it can be addictions. Look at what you think is negative and be honest with yourself and say, and pray, and say the thoughts of how you're going to change it. Look at that dark. If it's you don't have enough money, I don't have any money, quit worrying about it because you're just feeding into the negativity of it, and the money will come. If it's a bad relationship, if it's an abusive one, start praying for understanding and light to come into the situation because you feed into it when you fear or you run from it or you become angry. It's all lower vibrational energy. It's all lower energy that keeps you down, that makes you feel sad and depressed. You're trying to tell me that's the way we're supposed to exist? You're trying to tell me that I'm supposed to get in my car tomorrow and put gas in it and just mosey on and get and work for my paycheck? No, that's not what it's about. We're missing the point. And that doesn't mean that everyone's going to walk out of their house and walk out of their job and take money in their wallets and money out of the banks and burn it, and next thing you know the whole system crashes, which we have the power to do, because that's not what's going to happen. You're still going to be living in this world, but the thing is, there's going to be something different in your mind. There's going to be something different in your thoughts, and you're going to start focusing on it. Imagine it. It's just you focusing on it. That's it. How else do you achieve anything? How else do you stop smoking? You focus on it. I want to stop. I want to stop. And then it becomes you stopping. It can be achieved. I want to lose a couple of pounds. What do? You think about it. I want to lose a couple of pounds. Next thing you know, you're at the gym working out. Next thing you know, you're researching how to eat right. They're very simplistic laws here of how to create your own reality, and you do it every day. But I want you to take a step back and look at yourself as if you're looking at a heart reading, and it's got the up and down graph, and the down at the bottom is negative and up at the top is positive. How many of you go back and forth every day? Focus on the positive. And when you encounter that negative force, that's you. It's within you. That's where you have to take your thoughts and say, I no longer want to feel this. I want to change this. I want to look to a higher principle. And just you saying it starts to make it become real. And if you focus on it for one day and the next day you don't focus on it and you go right back to being a negative person, you just usurp what you just did. Because this is also a time game. If you look at a timeline of how many days you've conquered it in a percentage, I'm positive about 70% of the day. I want to be 80% positive, 90%. With that inner goal, I want to be 100% positive one day. I want to feel complete. So every day you focus it and you start seeing things change. You start seeing miracles happen. People are smiling at you. You're drawing more energy to people. You're helping people who have. You're empathetic. You see someone who's depressed and you say a few words and you give light and life to them and you cheer them up. And that's how you start developing these principles of light that you give to other people. And it lifts them up out of their darkness. And eventually you can start giving deeper principles involving the serious things that are going on in the world, like I'm doing right now, to really get you out of there and lift you up. And you start sharing that with people and it starts lifting everybody up. Don't you understand? We can create our own world. We can create our own reality. "2012 is not the ending, people." Start looking at what you believe in. Start purging those negatives out of your consciousness. Start looking at the past of your life and seeing what's causing you pain and causing you darkness. And you start praying. You don't have to believe in a God. You just start saying the words. Just say the damn words. I want to change. I want to feel better. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be addicted. I want to envision a new world. Envision a world where there's no money. I challenge you to do it. How conditioned are you? Imagine a world where there's no money. How would people be with each other? A world with no money is a moral world. It's a spiritual world. It's not a socialist, capitalist, none of that crap. That separates once again because they're putting labels on it. We're talking about universal things here. Release free energy. What is that going to do for the world? Oh, they're going to be lazy. We're not going to do nothing. It's bullshit. It's bull. The universe provides everything that we need. There are people in control who want to make you feel less and inferior and subservient to kings and queens who rule this planet. That's what they want. And if you want it, then by all means, throw that money around. But times are changing. And people are going to start envisioning a new world of what they really want. And you don't have to know right from the bat. This is what I'm talking about. Reject this world, and then you just say to yourself, Okay, well now I'm in a space, a vacuum space, because I just purged the world that I live in. So what do I do now? You wait, and you hold on to your focus, because that's what it's about. Imagine Jesus. Jesus didn't start his ministry until he was 30 years old. Do you think he was going up and down and negative and positive for 30 years? No, he wasn't. He was focusing on light and love ever since he was a little baby until he got older. He refined it. He grew in it. It's a time game, people. You hear about light workers and people who have the mastery of light within them and the expression of love. You think they built it overnight? They didn't. They focused on it, and it grew within them. And that's what's going to happen with you. So if you want a new world and you get into that space where it's the unknown, that's a beautiful space to be in. Because if you just keep holding focus and you keep staying on that positive tip, on that positive light, and you keep staying on that positive notion, it's going to come to you. And I'm here to help you out a little bit. Think to yourself, government, secret government, dark government, I want you to be arrested, and I want you to release all these free energy technologies, and I want you to release all these healthcare technologies that will cure disease, and I want you to release them right now. Just that one simple thing will help you start getting into the world of the future. So it's not the end. It's the beginning.